Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by John Bubb, as I am each and every week. How you doing, John?
Hey, Andrew, what's up?
I see you're growing the beard. I see you're wearing a T-shirt. You're in my chair.
I tried to do the slick back here, but I don't quite have long enough hair.
Yeah, no. This is an art to get to where I am. It's years of grooming, a lot of grooming. How you doing? How's everything?
Good. Pretty good. It's been a crazy week.
Holy cow. Yeah, we were talking earlier, there are some weeks, I hate coming on the show and saying like, oh, there's nothing to talk about because that kind of sets the precedence for it to be a crappy show. But for like a month straight, I mean, the news was so limited and there was very little information coming out. And all of a sudden this week, everything. I mean, everything you could imagine got announced, got unveiled. Now there's so much information that we don't know. We may go a little over on the show because of, the amount of information out there. But Monday was the Apple event. WWDC was Monday at 1 p.m. We did live coverage here on the network. So if you want to check it out, just go to gfqnetwork.com and you can catch it there. But a couple things to talk about from this. OS 10, I'm actually very satisfied with. iOS 8. Not so satisfied with. Let's start off with OS 10. Yeah, let's start off with OS 10. OS 10 got a flatter look, which I'm a fan of. I like the new look. I like the iOS look. I'm going to go to Apple's website and see if I can pull it up here because it's actually pretty. What do you think of the UI, John?
It's a lot nicer. I think the design that they had before, and they started trending last year away from the skeuomorphism type of design and into a flatter design, and the Mac OS X Maverick still had that skeuomorphism type of look and feel to it.
Some stuff was there, some stuff was taken away.
Yeah, some of the stuff was taken away, but I think it gives it a much more modern feel to it.
Yeah, the thing that I find really, really cool is the fact that you could answer your phone. If someone's calling your iOS device, your iPhone, you could essentially pick it up on your laptop. Or decline it. You can pick it up on any number of your Apple devices. I think that's really cool. That's that concept that we've seen over the last, 10 to 15 years of what the future operating system is. Where we actually saw that with Longhorn, where, like someone would call and like his phone would ring, his laptop would ring, his weird looking gigantic tablet would ring, and he would pick it up on the laptop. That was something that we saw years ago, and it never really happened. Now we're seeing it happen. I will be using this because I never have my phone on me. I don't know about you, John. Is this something
I always
that
have my phone with me?
You always have.
I feel naked without it.
Yeah. See, me on the other hand, I always leave my phone somewhere else, and I think this is great. If you have your phone, around you, you could essentially answer it via your laptop.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool, and I think something that I wish was more ubiquitous is that sort of type of thing, where it doesn't matter where you are, what device you're on, you can do the same things, and it all works together.
Yeah,
via the cloud or whatever.
So you also, with OS 10, which is now named Yosemite, it's going to include SMS in iMessage. So you can now send SMS to anybody, not just iMessage. You know what's going to be interesting?
Some users say that they were not 100% satisfied with that, but
okay, so whatever. I'm going to ask you a question. Great. I don't have an iPhone, but I do have iMessage, and my phone number is registered with iMessage.
Yes.
So in my case, will I be able to send SMS?
Because I have no idea. That's one of the weird things that everybody has had issues with whenever they switch away from iPhone or iPad. And they go to like Android or Windows Phone, they always have that weird issue where it's still stuck as iMessage and they start losing messages.
Yeah. The other thing that was actually a nice little add-on was Instant Hotspot. So essentially, if you have an iPhone, your laptop will be connected instantly. You don't have to do any kind of work. You don't have to. It automatically connects to that device if you have not selected a Wi-Fi network. This
I do
Tethering,
wonder though if you have to have it enabled on your phone for that
you
to
probably do.
automatically happen.
Yeah, you probably do.
So that's one of the things I always leave off just because I don't want anybody even picking my phone up as a hotspot
Yeah. I
in
mean,
their list.
I do the hotspots. I've been doing it more and more now, and my phone does a great job at it, and I don't need a 4G, iPad or anything like that. I think this is going to be a way for them to kind of kill off the radio aspect to the iPad and just do tethering if you have an iOS device. They really don't need a 4G iPad.
Eh, I'm not in agreement with that
Okay,
because
why?
I think they still sell a lot of tablets that people buy for the grandmas or whatever, and they might need LTE. They
I,
might not have the phone to go with it, but they might have the tablet
but why not force you to buy the phone? You know what I
because they don't
mean?
want to spend another $700.
Yeah.
They already spent $700 on a tablet. Now they want you to spend another $700 on a phone.
I think Apple's mindset is we have to get you in every device. So if you have an iPad, we need to get you to use an iPhone. And if you use an iPhone and an iPad, we have to get you to use a MacBook. That's their goal because their ecosystem it's a large ecosystem, but their user base is small. But their small user base actually uses all their hardware. I could see this becoming a thing for the future where um, I don't know if it's necessary, like people have been talking for years. How come these laptops don't have 4G on them? Why isn't that a standard? And, something like this really goes a long way.
But even if you go with what you're saying, I, what you would have to do is that you'd have to buy all new devices.
Well, that's what they
Nobody's
want.
going to do that.
No, but that's what they
Nobody's
want
going
you
to buy
to.
a new MacBook. Nobody's going to buy a new iPhone and a tablet all in one shot. You're going to end up spending $5,000.
Well, you know what? Maybe people should make some money. I think everybody should have every device. No, I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but I could see this becoming a thing where 4G is really not necessary on some of these devices. Like on the laptop, there's no reason to have a 4G card anymore if that's the case.
Well, one of the other reasons against it is the fact that it's going to drain your battery on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think that's a valid point to make.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. There was something called the handoff, and I didn't really understand it, John. Maybe you could explain it. It says now your Mac
Yeah.
knows the last thing you were doing on your iOS device. Can you explain that?
Well, during their keynote, they started talking about this whole idea called continuity, and handoff is part of this continuity idea that they're showing off, where it's a series of applications that work with your devices and the cloud in order to facilitate doing one thing on numerous devices. So with handoff, if you start writing or editing a document on your phone, on Yosemite, it'll pop up an icon right on the desktop that says, "Hey, you're editing this document." And if you want to, you could switch off from your phone over to your desktop running Yosemite and continue editing that document.
Yeah. There was also iCloud integration, a lot of iCloud integration. iCloud is now becoming it's no longer this hobby or this thing that's put away in the cloud. They're really making it into a serious Dropbox or Google Drive competitor. And as
Yeah.
far as the OS 10 announcement, that was pretty much it. I'm sure we're going to get some more information over the next couple of months as they further develop the operating system and we start seeing some hardware that goes along with this. But overall, minor upgrades, but good upgrades. It's going to be available in the fall. It's going to be totally free, just like the last version.
Mhm.
As far as
I do wish that,
yeah,
in a way, they would have rolled out both the new designs for iOS 7 and Yosemite kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So they went hand in hand. So you
Yeah.
got both the same look and feel amongst both those devices. I think that would have been great to do if they could have done that.
Yeah,
Also,
it's
one of the other
interesting why they
features that-
didn't do that. You brought up an interesting point. I mean, they made such a big deal about skeuomorphism in the last version when Johnny Ive took
I just
over.
don't think they were ready.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what it
that's
was.
what it comes down to is they just weren't ready between both cycles of the iPhone and Yosemite.
Yeah, this should have been Maverick.
They should have planned that for Mavericks. They really should have.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the features that they did add, they also changed the refresh to the interface for Safari, which is really cool because you don't necessarily need everything that they have on Safari, especially with the majority of people that have like MacBooks and stuff. they have generally a smaller screen, so you want more real estate. So I'm on board with that. They also allow you to record footage with your with your iPhone, which is something they didn't talk about that I find really cool.
So what did they say? What didn't they
You
say?
can you can hook up your phone to your computer running Yosemite and record footage of your iPhone.
So you could send footage of what's happening, or you could use the iPhone as a camera.
You're going to be able to use it as if you're going to see the whole screen.
Oh, okay. You're gonna see the whole screen. What would you?
As
What
far
would
as
that
I
be?
understand it,
What would that be good for?
for people that do tutorials, people that do app reviews, that sort of stuff.
Why? You know what? I brought up an interesting point. Now, why can't you just hook up your camera and just use that as like a webcam? Probably a better camera than what you're going to be getting.
It'll also drain your phone.
Yeah, but it's plugged in. It should be getting power.
I guess you're right.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing they added.
Where would you put it? You know,
I would mount it on my head, and I'd walk around with a giant cord, and I just record everything that's happening. That's all. iOS 8. Let's talk about this, John, because
this was very disappointing.
Go ahead.
I
You
must
take
say.
this.
Because I think a lot of people were really excited about iOS 8. We've heard numerous rumors about a health aspect to it, and recently a home automation type of deal to it. And we were really expecting a lot more from iOS, I think. Let's start off with the two big ones, Health Kit and Home Kit, which is really weird because they just started calling everything whatever kit,
Yeah.
which I think you got annoyed at. I got annoyed at.
It's
was
for the
really weird.
developers. I mean, that's essentially who it's for.
Yeah, so starting off with Health Kit, it'll integrate your records from your doctor visits and third-party apps and devices, which I think is somewhat of a letdown. People were expecting it to be a little bit more, I guess. It's a lot like Passbook. I don't know if you can pull it up and show pictures of what it's actually going to look like. But it's very interesting the way that they kind of want like a central application where you can have all of your health records, basically.
I'm trying
Which,
to.
in my opinion, it's a little. I'm a little worried about the privacy aspect of that.
Yeah,
A lot of the stuff they talked about, I was concerned because they didn't mention anything about privacy. And something like HealthKit, I'm very privacy conscious about something like that. How's that all going to work? Is it going to go over through the cloud? Who has access to it? Is that something that is stored on the phone?
Yeah, so
Where's
that's the
status
medical
stored? How
ID.
easy is it access?
Yeah, that's the medical ID portion. So you could see this guy's he has hypertension. In case of emergency, please call. It has that. Allergies. He's allergic to penicillin, severe skin rash, and the medication that he's on. So this is all going to be on here. Now, the way that they're going to communicate your information with the doctors, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. You're going to need to have all these hospitals and all these doctors' offices and all these systems that they're using to store medical information to convert over to your platform. I know that they have a bunch that have already agreed to it, but I don't know what doctor's going to use this. It's that's what I'm trying to see. Who's actually going to integrate this into their system? The other part of this, like you said, this is stuff that worries you. That you're giving all this data, but the other part that's pretty cool is that you're going to be able to do your calorie burn. You're going to be able to do your sleep schedule, your nutrition.
But they still didn't talk a whole lot about how this is actually going to work.
Exactly, yeah, because they probably
they said
don't
yes,
know.
we're going to have this. It'll integrate with your doctor and everything. It's going to be awesome. But they didn't really talk about this is the weird part. They mentioned Nike. And if you recall, Nike said that they're getting out actually making hardware like the Nike Fuel Band.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little weird that they mentioned that, despite the fact that you're not going to be able to buy a Nike Fuel Band anymore.
Well, a lot of this announcement was actually done properly because it was for developers. So they're telling developers how to develop and what to develop. But a lot of the disappointment that all of us had with this announcement is not necessarily fair because we don't know what kind of hardware is going to go along with this announcement. So if we look at the next iPad, we look at the next iPhone, we look at whatever that iWatch would be, we don't know the full picture of this. We don't see it yet because the product is not here. Something like the health aspect to this, if I have, a cool little watch that's monitoring all my stats, that's going to be a lot better than doing it on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Which
Um,
there are new rumors of, by the
yeah,
way. I
yeah.
don't know if you saw it, but there's new rumors now that the iWatch is going to be launched in the fall alongside the iPhone 6.
I mean, but doesn't that make sense though? I mean, that would definitely make sense that they're putting all
It
this health
would,
stuff
but
in there.
I don't know that I really give a crap about an iWatch. I think
But you
these
don't care about the
smartwatches
health
are
stuff
still
either.
very much of a limited market.
But you don't care about the health stuff either, right?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
So I was in
I
the
don't
same
think
boat.
most people do.
I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people will buy this because it's cool and they're going to be able to see their text messages and all that crap. But I, for one, did not have any interest in a smartwatch at all until I started working out and I started looking at the stuff that I'm eating and start counting the steps that I'm taking and, how much am I working out and how many calories did I burn and what's my sleep habit. It's kind of something that grew on me. But now, you know what? Because I'm working out a lot more, I may get this device if this, imaginary device is what, everybody thinks it is. But it's not going to be able to give you your hydration level. Like, let's remember this. A lot of this stuff, like, it's not going to be able to tell you what your blood sugar is. It's not going to be able to tell you if you're sick. It's a very basic thing. It's just counting your steps and looking at your heart rate. That's all. People need to, realize that this device is not going to be like this great, oh my God, it tells me everything that I need to know type thing. Why don't you go into home automation, John?
This was something that we recently just heard about.
Like last week.
Last week. And apparently they didn't give hardly any information on this, which I thought was disappointing. Basically, when it came to HealthKit and HomeKit, all they really did was said, hey, we've got these new things that we're going to unveil. That was the gist of it. I mean, all they really said, and there's still a lot of speculation regarding the HomeKit mainly. Supposedly it's going to be more of a communication standard and possibly it'll combine multiple commands across devices. So let's say that you have one of those Belkin Wemo things or whatever they're called. You have a bunch of those plugged in. Then you got this other stuff for your front door to lock your front door. But then you also have stuff for your car. You also have stuff for your garage door. HomeKit is supposed to, I guess, pull all that together in a single interface. And so you can say multiple commands so that when you go to bed, you can hit a command, and it'll check and make sure that everything is shut, closed, and locked, which I think is really cool if that's the way that it's going to work. But we're still very light on the details of how HomeKit is actually going to work and what it will be able to do.
Yeah, the concept is great, but again, you're going to need companion hardware to go with this. It's not going to be like an Apple special mega product that you spend a couple $100 on and it controls everything. We went over this last week in detail about the problems with home automation.
Originally we thought maybe this was just going to be only a certification type of process where Apple certifies products and that's it. But like we said, we almost needed something more than just a certification. This appears to be more than just a certification process where they're actually going to have an interface, a central interface for any of your home automated devices that you can buy.
Yeah. Curtis B actually brought up something really interesting on in the chat room. He said, the best part of HealthKit is that people with medical conditions that have specialized hardware, blood sugar monitors, blood pressure monitors, blood sugar monitors, etc., can allow their doctors to have consent monitoring without them having to constant. I read that as consent. I don't know why. Constant monitoring without having them take up their time. Yeah, I think something like that is great. Where if your levels get to a dangerous level or it becomes something that you should be concerned about, they're going to have access to that. That is the future of this platform for them. But my point is, I don't think there's going to be this mega watch that monitors everything for you. That's where currently right now with the technology that we have, I listen, maybe in a couple of years, it's going to be a different story, but I think people are going into this iWatch concept with very high expectations. And I don't know if they're going to be able to deliver that. And if they don't, it's going to be very disappointing.
But you and Paul were talking about it on What the Tech yesterday, and like, what is the future of devices coming out? Is that something that? Oh, I think my Wirecast just crashed.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Yeah, let me fix that.
Okay,
real quick.
No, yesterday we were talking about, the big items, right? We kind of got used to this idea where there's an Apple product, this mega product coming out every single year. And now when Apple has an announcement like this, it wasn't the complaints that you have are, I wish there was more information about HomeKit and the platform and who else is what they're opening this up to. That's your complaint. You know what most people's complaints were? Where's the iPhone 6? Where's the new iPad?
WWDC is more of a developer, and I've never expected hardware from WWDC.
No, but most people don't have that, don't understand that. I think a lot of us got conditioned to there being a blockbuster announcement every year, and we're not going to get that. It was a very rare thing that happened.
I still think we're setting ourselves up for wanting a blockbuster device, and I don't even know that a smartwatch, an iWatch, is that blockbuster type of device.
I mean, but I don't think it is either. I wouldn't say it is.
It's too small of a market.
Yeah, it's not either, but it is a blockbuster product. It's a new product. It's a product that we have. Oh my God. I mean, that initial reaction is going to happen to this thing. We said the same thing about the iPad. I mean, with the iPad, when it came out, I was one of those people that said, I'm not going to spend $500 on this thing. Why do I need to do that? It's limited. It's slower hardware. I could do everything that I'm doing on my laptop or on my phone. Why do I need it? Guess what? I have 2 iPads.
I suppose we could be wrong about that, but I mean, just looking at it and thinking about it now, I don't see that happening.
I don't know. I go back and forth on this. I think it's so early to speculate if this device will be a blockbuster or if nobody's going to care about it or, what it's going to be. Listen, for all we know, this iWatch will just be like a Nike Fuel Band. It'll be a limited thing, or it's going to be like the Samsung Gear, whatever the hell that thing is. I think we have to kind of step back and say, okay, let's figure out what this device is going to be first before we start speculating on what it is. But let's talk about what we spoke about yesterday with Paul. When these announcements happen, when these products happen, we got 3 groundbreaking, revolutionary products in a matter of 2 years, less than 2 years, 18 months, 2 years. We got an iPhone, we got an iPad. We got thinner laptops. Everything changed in the market. I don't know what the next device will disrupt the market. I don't think it's going to be an iWatch. I don't know what it's going to be.
It can't be, because we've already seen smartwatches, and sure, Apple might be able to capitalize better on that than others, but we haven't seen a revolution that we saw with the iPhone with smartwatches. Yeah, nobody's been able to have that same kind of success. Even though the first generation of the iPhone was something that, in all accounts, in most ways, was an inferior product to what was already out.
Yeah, and you look at like Apple TV, right? For example, people are speculating that they're going to announce a television, they're going to announce a physical TV. Apple has to be insane to make a TV. There's no reason why they would make a TV. There's no way they could afford to mass produce a $3,000 TV or $2,500 TV and expect to be have a place in the market when most people, when they're buying televisions, you know how they buy it? They buy it based on what's on sale at Best Buy that month. Mm-hmm. People don't, it's a very dumb market. People don't understand. They go, oh, wow, 3D, I want it. It's on sale, $6.99. That's how they buy TVs. Nobody's talking about pixel density when you're talking about TVs. That's not really happening, unfortunately, because that's why we have a lot of crappy TVs on the market. And people want size, and they don't care about performance, and they don't care about that stuff. What they can do is a much better Apple TV with apps and do something like that. But again, I don't think that's
half expected them to say something about Apple TV or even iBeacons, and they didn't mention anything about either of those products. I expect them to mention something about hardware. I didn't expect them to unveil any hardware, but I expected them to mention some sort of hardware or have some sort of hint at future hardware. And they didn't even have a hint at future hardware, in my opinion.
No, they had no hint. And to the point that even there was no hint at Apple TV development on the software side,
which is something that people expected last time around.
There was
time before that.
There was barely anything. There was barely anything for CarPlay.
We've gone over a year now without an update for the Apple TV.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but I'm still hanging on to this hope that they're gonna unveil something in the fall. Health kit, home kit, family sharing. You can share your photos. This is great. iTunes purchases.
Yeah.
So essentially now, and I have this problem in my house. I have bought all my apps on my wife's iTunes account because initially when we set up iTunes, well, there's a reason for that. When we set up iTunes, we set it up because she bought a MacBook. So we had one account. And I continued to use that account because she didn't have an iPhone. When she got an iPhone, we started sharing the account. So some stuff, like we share our iTunes, but we don't share our iMessage, but we do share some with the iCloud. It's all whacked out. Now this will allow you to share iTunes purchases. You could have your own ID. You could use your own ID, but you're going to have access to the stuff that your family members have bought. But I'm curious on how you register someone as family. Like, can you be family, John?
That's a good question. I think it's only going to work with up to, I think, 4 to 6 people, they said,
Okay.
in the details, which isn't bad. I mean, Amazon Prime allows you to share with up to 4 people, which is great. I'm very interested in this because I share photos with my family all the freaking time. And if there's an easier way to do that, it's going to be very, very cool. And the fact that you're also going to be able to share your iTunes purchases. So if you purchase a TV show or a song that I'd be interested in watching, I now have access to that. We both don't have to purchase the same content over and over again.
I believe it has to be based on the same credit card. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what it was. Okay, so that's how they authenticate it. But that's not really hard to do.
Based on, but that if it's based on the same credit card number, that's not going to work for me.
No, but if it's my PayPal, you could just put in my PayPal information and use mine. Because mine is my PayPal.
I have my own credit card. My parents have their own credit cards. My brother and sister have their own credit cards.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work.
It doesn't work for you.
That would be a really dumb way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Widgets. That would absolutely negate the fact that they have this feature, in my opinion. If that's the way they want to do it.
Let's see what else. New quick type prediction typing, widgets and notifications, support for third-party keyboards, messages.
That's a big one, by the way.
Which one? Go ahead.
The support for third-party keyboards. That's something a lot of people have been wanting for the last 2 years now on iOS. It's the ability to install third-party keyboards such as Swipe and SwiftKey. A lot of Android users that have used Android and switched to iPhone, that is basically their number one request, and one of the things that they want the most on their iPhone is that Swipe keyboard. So I think and this is something that we've really seen with iOS 8 in this keynote, is that they've now offer a lot of access to new APIs. I think they said there was like over 2,500 new APIs or something that they're giving developers access to, which is a ridiculous amount, and basically signals the opening up of iOS, because Apple is generally very closed. And what they're doing now with iOS 8 is allowing you access to so many more APIs that you're going to be able to do a lot more with applications, and the way that applications integrate and do things. Like, when you go and share something or bookmark something, it has that little interface where it says, do you want to message it? Do you want to send an email, et cetera, et cetera? Well, now applications can actually add their own stuff in there. So if you have Pinterest installed, that Pinterest app can now add its own button to your sharing screen in Safari, so that when you go to share something, you could share it on Pinterest, you could share it on Facebook, you could share it on Tumblr, etc. And I think that's a pretty nifty little feature.
And go down a list really quickly so we can move on.
Messages can now send quick video and voice messages. That's something that they spend a lot of time on, that I think is kind of cool, but at the same time, they left a lot to be desired, I think, in messages. And one of the things that I'm really wanting in messages is a way for me to go between messages without having to go back to the messages inbox. I don't understand why Apple hasn't done a better job of figuring out a way to navigate between messages without having to exit a message, go to your inbox, and select a different message. I really freaking hate that. They also added a lot more improvements to messages aside from that, as well as being able to more easily see all the media that you have in a message, such as your photos and your videos. It'll have a nicer interface for seeing all of those aside from the text messages that you have. That's really cool. They also have new Shazam integration with Siri, so that you can use Siri to identify songs that you're listening to or hearing on the radio, which is something I love. I know that you love Shazam as well.
I do. Yeah, Shazam is a great app. Let's see. New Swift language, obviously.
That's something that a lot of people were like, why do we need this a new language for something that we already know? But it really is going to be advantageous to, or very much an advantage for new developers. They're going to be able to create applications much quicker.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to test them much quicker with the new Xcode that they have to play with. So everything's just going to be developed much quicker, and it's actually going to result in smaller file sizes, because what would have taken you maybe 6 lines of code to write only now takes you 1 line of code.
Yeah, that's actually really good. And the other big story was the new iCloud pricing, 200 gigs, 200 gigs for $3.99 a month, or 99 cents for 20 gigs. 5 gigs is free. Too little, too late, since Google's given away 15 for free. Box is 10, and Microsoft's given away 7. I
don't understand this. Why are they still offering a paltry 5 gigabytes when they clearly are pushing their iCloud service? And if people, and like you said, they want people to have multiple devices. Well, if you have multiple devices, 5 gigabytes is not going to be enough. It's plain and simple. You need more than 5 gigabytes. 5 gigabytes is enough for one iPhone, and that's it. If you have any other devices besides an iPhone, you need more than 5 gigabytes.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they can't offer 10 or 15 gigabytes for free. They could easily do that and charge $2.99 or $3.99 for more than that. They don't have anything between 20 gigabytes and 200 gigabytes.
Yeah.
While I do think that $3.99 is a great price for 200 gigabytes, they don't have anything between that, and they still want to charge you $1 per month for 20 gigabytes when, in my opinion, they should be giving away 20 gigabytes for free.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what? Look at Dropbox, John. Dropbox has insanely expensive pricing.
Yeah.
$100 a year for 100 gigs.
I do not understand that.
I don't either.
And Google has the best pricing per gigabyte out of any service when you compare it to Box, Dropbox, Microsoft. I think there's a couple of other ones out there. It's just insane the amount of space that Google offers. You can get a terabyte for, I think, like $20 a month.
Let's move on from Apple, John. What do you think?
Are you done with Apple?
I'm done with Apple. I'm all Appled out. We spent 40 minutes on Apple. It's a lot of Apple stuff happening.
30 minutes.
Okay.
It's only been 30 minutes.
32 minutes and 27, 28, 29 seconds, John. The other big story here is Amazon will likely announce a new phone June 18th. It was leaked a couple months ago, these images of some, Amazon phone, and now it seems to be a reality. Why don't you go into the story while I put the cat away?
Okay, so apparently we've been hearing rumors for a long while now about an Amazon phone that has multiple cameras, a large screen, and 3D support for it. In the video, it's a very odd video because all you see is people possibly holding something. For the most part, I mean, there's other versions of the video out there that show a little bit more than what you see in the official video.
Yeah.
Well, it's just weird because all you hear is them go, "Wow, that's amazing," and really, I don't care.
Okay, so this is where I care, okay? I don't care about the 3D interface. I don't care about any of that. So the rumors are that it's going to run a Qualcomm Snapdragon CPU, and it's going to have 2 gigs of memory. It's going to be a 4.7 inch screen, and it's going to have 5 front-facing cameras for whatever reason. The back is going to have...
can follow you.
Yeah, so whatever the specs are.
Do the 3D or whatever.
But wouldn't it be interesting if they made this a very inexpensive phone, unsubsidized to buy?
I don't understand why you get so excited about the possibility of this. You do this every single time. You've done this with Windows Phone. You've done this with tablets. You've been going on for like a year now about, I just wish there was inexpensive stuff out there.
I do, and I'll tell you why. Because I want a new phone every year.
I don't think most people care. I think it's only the enthusiasts like you and me that would want a phone every single year.
Yeah, but for me, I want a new phone every year. I know a lot of people that want a new phone every year. I could tell you right now, if I could buy a $299 phone every single year, I would do that without a contract. I think something like this would be interesting for people who kind of want that, or they want a lower end phone that has decent specs.
But we've seen people like Google try this before, and it's never worked out well.
It
I
is
know
interesting
there's
that
a
Google
lot.
said it.
There's rumors out there that, oh yes, Google's gonna or Amazon's gonna sell this on their own. They're not gonna need carriers. Google's tried that before, and it failed miserably.
Do you think who's going to buy this? And this is what I asked Paul. Who's our market? Who are they going to market this thing to? I can't figure out what their
Android
market.
users?
I guess so, or whoever they're marketing a Kindle to.
Yeah. But to me, this is just going to be another one of those dime a dozen Android phones.
Yeah.
It'll have Amazon's little touches here and there that'll make it a little bit different, but it's still essentially a dime a dozen Android device.
Here's some screenshots actually that they are claiming that this is exactly what it's going to look like. Boy Genius Report is posting this, so this is the device.
Yeah, and we saw these pictures, I think, a little while ago.
Yeah, it looks like an iPhone.
It's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just going to be another one of those Android devices. It's going to be something that everybody's going to ooh and ah at for about 5 seconds, and that's it.
Yeah.
Once they're going to ooh and ah at the launch of it, then nobody's going to buy this thing. I really don't think anybody's going to buy it. I would be shocked if if Amazon is successful with an Amazon phone. I will be really shocked.
I'm curious on, I know a lot of people that actually have a Kindle Fire, and they love their Kindle Fire, and these are people that are not very techie, and they absolutely love this thing because it's simple, it's easy, the interface is the icons are all big. Something like this for grandma would be great. Not
Windows
complicated.
Phone has big icons.
Windows Phone does, but who are we kidding? Nobody wants a Windows Phone, unfortunately.
I'm just not impressed with it with this rumor whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm curious.
The fact that it's a hard sell from the beginning because it's already so much rumored to be this. They're already making it such a big gimmick, so it's already a tough sell for me because they're not making it very serious.
The
with
interface,
this video where everybody going, "Ooh, wow, that's amazing."
But what is going
It's
on? Like
following
I still don't know what it's doing. What is it doing?
And they have a hard situation here where they already kind of had a lot of negative publicity over their drone stunt, where they're going to have Amazon drones delivering your packages, and everybody was like, "That's so silly. That's never going to happen." And here they are trying to launch a phone, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, it's another one of those kooky Amazon devices."
I don't know what do you know what the 3D thing actually is?
I don't know if it's maybe going to be some sort of a 3D display so that it knows how you're looking at the device or holding the device, so that it knows how to create the 3D visual look to whatever it is that's showing on screen.
Yeah.
But that would be very weird because I think it's very conclusive at this point that 3D on anything other than movies is a complete fad.
I don't even like it on movies.
I don't even like it on movies either. Nobody wanted it on their TV. They even sell TVs now with 3D?
They do. Yeah, but people
the main selling point of it being 3D.
Yeah, people like Coco buy it. I mean, I don't get the 3D thing, but
I mean that's why I'm saying this is going to be a tough sell because they've already had such a kooky publicity stunt with the Amazon drones, which I thought that was kind of neat, but yeah, I can see the public saying, "Oh, that's stupid," and then they're going to do this whole 3D thing, which, if they had done that, 3-4 years ago, maybe that would have been cool, but 2014 3D is not something that anybody really gives a crap about.
So this was an interesting story here, John. FCC is considering improving the definition of what broadband is to video-friendly 10 megabits per second. The FCC last set its definition of broadband to 4 megabits per second downstream and 1 megabit per second upstream. That was fine in 2010, but it's arguably outdated. You can't reliably stream HD video or host high-quality video chats on any kind of connection like that. Right now, they are looking to modernize this. There's been a proposal drafted that would increase the baseline to at least 10 down and 2.9 up.
Why 2.9?
Because
Can you explain that to me?
It has to be because 2.9 is at least 3. That's why. It's at least 3.
Why don't they just say 3?
I don't know. No idea. No idea.
I mean, that's a very odd number to go with. 2.9. Okay, why not 2.5, 2.6? If you're doing 2.9, why not just say 3?
And this is not consistent speeds either. Remember that. They can't guarantee consistent speeds. And that's been part of the whole debate about the internet on if the government should come in and say, well, no, the quality of service has to meet a certain standard, much like the telco and the utilities company. You know, like Con Edison.
Most ISPs do have a very good level of service, guaranteed service, especially Comcast. Comcast, arguably, I think, almost always gives you slightly more than what you've signed up for, such as I'm allowed 50 megabits down, but I technically get about 55, 56.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very good delivery of service.
No, I think that's great. And I think a lot of these ISPs have kind of been forced into offering. I mean, listen, there's going to always be that story where they're the worst and there's nothing to do. But Fios kind of scared some of these people into getting their act together. Google's single-handedly changing the way that broadband is being handled right now in certain areas.
Fios did the same thing.
Yeah, well, you know what happened with Fios? It's so disappointing because this merger between Comcast and Time Warner is going to really set everything back. But Fios really scared the crap out of a lot of these ISPs. And they kind of, they realized that deployment is very expensive and they didn't want to really deploy. So they did a handshake agreement saying that we're not going to further expand if you give us spectrum. And now we're not seeing any more, Fios areas. We're not seeing new places being added with Fios. But I'll tell you something, John. In New York, for example, Fios, the bottom speed is 15 by 5. And that's like $20 a month. Time Warner Cable, they only offer like one upload speed, and that's 5 megabits.
That's awful.
That's the only upload that you could get. I mean, you could get 300 meg down, but they only offer 5. They offer 1, and then they offer 5. So It did nothing. This Fios expanding did nothing in New York City.
I think New York City is a very tough area to deal with, though, because it's already so developed.
It is developed.
And you have the unions there, and it's just there's a lot you have to do in order to roll out something in New York City.
I mean, I'm lucky that I got Fios.
I think New York City is going to be different than most other places.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky I have Fios because I couldn't do this if I didn't have Fios. But we have, what is it? 150 by 75 on one, and we got 50 by 50 on the other one.
But this does go back to one of the reasons why the FCC is wanting to revise their broadband definition to maybe 10, which I think is great because a lot of these companies, these ISPs, they really don't want to offer more than a bare minimum, and this kind of forces them to offer more than what they are now.
Yeah. The other thing that they are considering is having different standards for different areas. Like rural Wyoming will have a different standard than a city like Austin that has gigabit class broadband.
I think that's a little ridiculous. The fact that they want to break it down to region and time of day, that's a little going too far.
Oh yeah, they did do time of day also, right? That's what they want.
Yeah, they want to break it down per region, per time of day. Just odd and bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I think you really should have the same set of rules across the country for the definition of broadband.
Since we're talking about the ISPs, Verizon has slapped Netflix with a cease and desist over a error message. I guess this agreement between Verizon and Netflix is not going well. And I guess they have not signed it to get better pipes. So essentially what Netflix has been testing out is an error message saying, hey, Verizon, due to Verizon's ISP being overly crowded, due to Verizon's network being crowded right now, you can't watch your content, or it's not going to be in HD.
Yeah.
I don't know what did they say.
They weren't necessarily. There were a couple articles saying that Netflix wasn't always saying Verizon, that it was just generally Verizon, but they also did call out, I think, a couple other ISPs in that error message.
Netflix.
But you've been having a lot of issues with Netflix lately,
I have,
which is very strange because now our roles are completely reversed. Where I have good Netflix, but you don't, and you had good Netflix.
It was bad. I mean, the last couple months have been really bad. I think the last couple weeks have gotten a little better, but it was almost unwatchable. It really got to the point that it was unwatchable, where I couldn't watch anything. Everything was buffering, even on a wired connection. So it kind of happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was experiencing up until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
which is very bizarre. I don't understand why any of this stuff happens. It's just so we're in the fact that you now have basically a cat fight between Netflix and every other ISP saying, oh, it's not us, it's you, it's Netflix. You're the ones that are congested. It's never the ISP, which is something that bugs the crap out of me. And the fact of the way that the internet is built is that you have all these different companies between the ISP and the company that you're trying to use, such as Netflix or Amazon or iTunes. You have all these little internet companies that deliver your service to you, to the ISP, and nobody ever wants to take blame for any of these issues.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
we still have issues between us.
Oh yeah,
nobody can figure out, and nobody wants to take responsibility.
No, nobody. It's crazy that we cannot transfer
nobody
files.
Even wants to look at them like, oh, it looks fine to us, not our problem.
Yeah, well, one side points to the other one. That's been the problem. Well, we can't. Their answer is, once it leaves our network, we can't support it. Well, of course, it's going to leave your network. It's going to leave your network even if you were on Verizon.
Yeah.
If John's on Verizon, it's still going to leave the Verizon network to get to him because it has to go through different hops. It's going to hit level 3 or it's going to hit something. It's crazy. Why don't you go into one story and then we'll do our picks.
So let's talk about this last story here. There's a rumor that looks like it's very much true. Sprint agrees to buy T-Mobile for $32 billion, which is about $40 per share to buy T-Mobile. A person familiar with the matter said marking further progress in the attempt to merge the third and fourth biggest U.S. mobile network operations. The $40 per share represents a 17% premium to T-Mobile U.S.'s closing share price on Wednesday, given an valuation of more than $32 billion. This is fascinating because SoftBank actually owns Sprint, but they also own a couple other companies, such as Dutch Telecom, which already owns 67% of T-Mobile. And we've kind of seen this thing work out before, where AT&T said we were going to buy T-Mobile, and that did not work out well. So is Sprint going to have any better luck buying T-Mobile than AT&T did?
Well, I don't know if first of all, this has to be approved, obviously, the sale. And AT&T did not do well with this.
No.
Didn't happen. But is it a little hypocritical that they're allowing Sprint to merge with them because they're a little bit of a smaller company compared to AT&T when it comes to the internet?
I think it is given in technology.
When it comes to mobile, I'm sorry.
Well, I think, in my opinion, one of the big reasons against somebody buying T-Mobile was that if they buy T-Mobile and convert it over to CDMA, well, then the only GSM carrier, and these CDMA and GSM are the technologies that your phone operates on. Verizon and Sprint operate on CDMA, and AT&T and T-Mobile operate on GSM. So if Sprint buys T-Mobile and converts it over to CDMA, that leaves only AT&T as the only GSM carrier in the United States, which means that they generally have a monopoly on anybody that wants to use a SIM card. Sure, you do have Sprint and Verizon offer certain phones that have GSM capabilities, but you're not going to be able to get same kind of service that you would with AT&T if you are looking for strictly GSM.
But in an LTE world, does it matter?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's their argument, right?
I think that's definitely going to be. I mean, really, you have Sprint and Verizon CDMA, T-Mobile and AT&T GSM. Yes, you have a bunch of smaller carriers other than that, but worldwide, those are the only four.
Yeah.
And T-Mobile has been looking for an out for years.
Well, because they're losing money. I mean, they can't compete in this country, and the things that the effort that they put into
I think
it.
they've been doing a pretty good job.
Well, the
I
last
think
couple of
they
years, they started doing it, but for a long
Sure.
time, the problem is they do really well in your area because there's T-Mobile service. They do well in certain areas here in New York because there's T-Mobile service. But you look at the rest of the map, their expansion has been really bad. They have not been able to expand
Sure.
at the rate that the other guys have been able to do, and that's pretty much what hurt them.
Sure. And I don't think Dutch Telecom wants them anymore.
No.
But that's fascinating, the fact that SoftBank, which is the company that owns Sprint, wants to buy T-Mobile, and they technically already own Dutch Telecom, which owns 67% of T-Mobile.
Yeah, Deutsche
They
Telekom
already own it.
Yeah, Deutsche Telekom has been wanting to get out of that for a long time. I mean, they really have no interest in it.
Yeah.
This is a fascinating development. I'm curious if Sprint's going to be able to get it, and what are they going to do? They're obviously buying it for the user base and for Spectrum.
Yeah, on one hand, I don't think the deal is going to go through, but on the other hand, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to put the deal through.
Yeah.
Which is, in a way, yeah, I think that is going to be unfair to AT&T.
Yeah. All right, John, it is time for the picks of the week. This is a part of the show that we talk about a product, a website, anything that we liked throughout the week. John, you want to go first?
Yeah. So a lot of people have been commenting on my ability to do green screens now. And as you can see, it's working fairly well. And a lot of people like the stuff that I've been doing with it. For those of you that don't know what a green screen is, it's chroma key. It's the stuff that they use for weather maps. Whenever you see a weather report on TV and you see the weatherman standing in front of a map, it's a green screen or a chroma key. I'll actually go in and turn mine off so that you can see what it actually looks like. Let's see, grab my camera here, chroma key. If I turn this off, you'll actually see that I have a green screen behind me. This is what I use to chroma key everything behind me out so that I can put other pictures behind me. I'll turn it off now and show some other examples for you of what it can do, which is really cool. So right now I'm in Andrew's studio, but if I wanted to, I could be in a completely different room magically, which is really cool. So if you wanted to do something like this and you want to see what I'm actually using, it's a backdrop from Prism. It's a 10 by 12 chroma key green Muslim photo video backdrop. You can use this for all sorts of stuff where you need a chroma key. It's 100% cotton muslin material, saturated high color, and a single piece of seamless design. It's roughly 3.8 pounds, and when it's fully stretched, it's freaking amazing. And it has a pocket rod, a rod pocket sewn into it, which is really cool. So if you already have the kit that goes with this, and you just need the screen, or you already have some other system that you're going to use for this, it's got the pocket rod right in it already. It's pretty cool. I like it. It works very well. What do you think?
I think it works really well. And yours isn't even that fully straight. I mean, you haven't really gone crazy with the straightening of it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
And it works fairly well.
Yeah.
It does come in a carrying case, which I have here. It's nothing fancy. It's just a case. It has a little clear window so that you can actually see the color, because a lot of people use multiple colors, green and blue, sometimes red. And it's only $25 on Amazon right now.
Yeah,
so it's not a whole lot of money if you want to have your own green screen studio.
Yeah.
The only suggestion I would make if you do want to do a green screen is you have to have really good lighting. If you don't properly light the backdrop itself, you're going to get a really bad chroma key. I have literally 6 lights in my room using fluorescent lighting. They always say to use daylight fluorescent type of lighting when you light a green screen, because if you use a tungsten regular type of bulb, it's going to give off this yellow tint to it, and that's going to make it blend a little bit more in with your skin tone, which is one of the reasons why people use green screen, because it's one of the furthest colors from your actual skin tone. So always use daylight colored light bulbs whenever you light a green screen like this. It'll just work so much better. Otherwise, you'll need to use a filter to filter out the yellow in your light bulbs.
Very good pick. Very, very good pick. John, my pick is it's a simple application. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this. We use an IRC chat room here at the GFQ network. Our chat is based on IRC, and I've been looking for a mobile IRC client, and I had one on the iPad, but it was weird. Every time I would close it out, it would shut down. It wouldn't run properly. So I actually dived in and I spent a couple bucks and I bought LimeChat. LimeChat,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, LimeChat is probably the best IRC client for iOS currently. Here's LimeChat. It's a very simple interface. It does everything IRC wants to do. There's nothing, there's no crazy UI with it. It's a very simple IRC client, but it actually works the best out of all the ones that I've tried. It doesn't time out as much as the other ones on mobile, because that's an issue with a lot of the mobile applications. And I'm on it right here. And I use this to monitor the chat room when we're doing the show, and I don't have to have another laptop in front of me to monitor the chat room. It's LimeChat. It's a little pricey. It's $4.99, but it's probably the best IRC client for mobile for iOS.
That's cool.
See, we could share it if we were using the same account
And the same credit card.
and the same credit card. Well, I use PayPal, so we could share it. So you just put in my PayPal information, just download all the apps, because I download a ton of apps. And that's it, guys. That was our picks of the week. If you miss any portion of the show, of course, you can go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. You can subscribe to us. We're everywhere podcasts are available. If you want to support us, you want to help us out, use our Amazon affiliate link. Go to gfq.co/Amazon. Use our Amazon affiliate link. We got a tiny little credit with every purchase you guys make. It really goes a long way when you guys are buying stuff. It's actually a huge help. Also, if you want to support the network, you could do that by funding our Patreon campaign. It's patreon.com/whatthetech. We have a campaign for What the Tech, but it goes to the entire network. You can fund it. We are at $355 now. We want to be at about $400 by the end of the month. So that's patreon.com/whatthetech. And you can follow John at Suncast on Twitter, and I'm Andrew Zarian on Twitter. And that's it, guys. We'll see you all next week. Good night, everybody.